On the women's side then, so I guess first of all, we can start off with the most shocking thing, which is Barty retiring. I mean, was that a shock to you? And what's your thoughts on it? Because obviously retiring at the top, number one, she's won 3 slams. The only slam she didn't win was US Open, but she was number one, I think, since for a couple of years, at least in 2019, actually, if I'm not mistaken, when she first won a slam. She's been dominant in the women's tennis since that time, and you would have expected her to win more slams, but for her, kind of retiring, I think what was it, 25, 26? She's retiring, not even really at her peak, some might say, and just happy to walk away. So, yeah, initial thoughts?
Yeah. I think I was one of the very few who wasn't entirely shocked by that because, given Barty's history, as in she's such a great player, but at the same time, she's also a very, you could say, someone who prioritizes her family. Like she's always been that kind of person who prioritizes the family over everything else, and her mental health as well. So when she first retired from tennis, I think it was when she was 19, if I'm not wrong, or 18 or 19 something, and she moved to cricket. It was shocking that time, I was actually following her because she was so good in doubles when she does, I think at 16 or something, she reached some final in doubles. So I was, keenly following her progress, and then suddenly she just retired and said, okay, I'm done in tennis. And at that time, it was really shocking, and I'd never seen something like that happen, like for someone who's just a teenager. And then, yeah, she did well in cricket as well. She's just that kind of, that kind of talent.
Yeah, the big bash, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, she does well everywhere. And when she came back, so initially, when she came back, I was very circumspect, and I thought, okay, I don't know how long she's going to continue. Like she's retired from 2 sports basically in the space of and before turning 21. But yeah, obviously, then she started being a lot more successful, and I think that helped her, just want to be in the tennis world for a while longer. She was just so good at the French Open. You wouldn't expect someone with her game to win the clay major, and yet she did that. Without and then she backed it up. Winning titles everywhere, hard court, clay, grass. That's that kind of versatility. I don't think we've seen that in a long time in the women's game. So yeah, while she was just that good, naturally, like she had that kind of talent to do well everywhere in all conditions. But you always got the feeling, especially with the pandemic, that it does take a toll on everyone, and especially on someone like Barty, who likes to be at home, who likes to be around family. And the fact that she didn't play at all in 2020 when the tour resumed, and 2021 she was on the road, I think, for more than 6 months, if I'm not wrong. So you could see that she was taking decisions that were very, like based on what she really wanted to do. And when she talked about it, like when she won Wimbledon as well, it seemed like she had achieved childhood dream, and that she was content in a way. Like she had achieved what she wanted to. And in fact, I think her coach mentioned after late last year as well, she was already thinking about retiring. I think taking a break or something. And but yeah, the Australian Open, given it's a home slam, she did want to give it her best shot, and she did. She won without dropping a set. But again, when she did win it and she gave her speech at the tour presentation, it really seemed like she didn't have much less left to achieve. She had already done whatever she wanted. Whatever she had come back to tennis for. She had won Wimbledon. She had won her home slam. She won been number one since 2019, as you said. Like I think it's 3 years almost. So my first thought after winning the Australian Open was like I had 2 thoughts. One was, how is anyone going to stop her because she's just got such a complete game, and the second was, is she going to remain motivated? If at all someone's going to stop her, is that going to be because she's not going to be motivated? And while I didn't expect her to retire, I did think that she would have a dip in her performances because it's just like what else was there for her to achieve? She's already won the French Open, Wimbledon, US Open, yes, so that was at the end of the year, and she's already won a hard court slam. So I don't know whether she really particularly wanted to win the US Open, as something that she really cherished, or even whether she wanted to win Wimbledon again. Like while she would be the favorite if she was playing, she clearly her game is built for grass. But was she going to be that invested in winning it her second time? Because it takes a lot. It may seem easy to us, like the way she's playing, but it's always like a huge task, to win any slam. So yeah, I don't know. It was always kind of on the horizon for Barty. Whether she should remain motivated, whether she'd want to continue and be away from family. So yeah, while I didn't expect her to retire, I do think that it is something that is in her nature. It's something that that's who she is as a person, and I really admire that. I think it's great that she can prioritize so many things, like the important things in her life over something that she's the best in the world at, and that's not something that you can see very often. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Very admirable, and I think to be able to compartmentalize, I guess her life as well, family and sports as well, and then I guess prioritize, as you said, exactly what she wants to do, and it'll be interesting to see what she does do next in her life as well. But I think she does get homesick a lot. She did mention that, and I think that, of course, would have given some validity to her decision as well. And interestingly, like you were saying that she would have been favorite in these slams, and I guess exactly what you said, like motivation. If the motivation is not there, and it's easy for us to say that she would have been favorite and she would have won them, but in the background, I guess sometimes I know I forget the amount of hard work that goes in, like training wise, to kind of actually then get onto the court, implement those tactics, implement the training that's gone on behind the scenes. If she's not motivated to train in the same way, then the performances will be affected. And I guess that exactly then feeds into what you said about a potential dip in form if she had continued. So I think she maybe knew it was coming. And interestingly, I guess if she was already thinking about it after Wimbledon, then it kind of makes sense as well. So wishing her the best. Who knows? Maybe we'll see her back on the court later on, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't either, to be perfectly honest with you. And after, I guess, Barty retiring, the Ashes has risen Iga Swiatek. I mean, she has, again, just taken it by storm. Made the semis of the Australian Open and then won Doha, won Indian Wells, and I thought, no way she can do the Sunshine Double. And then she won Miami as well in ridiculous fashion, 20 years of age, beating Osaka in that final. And she has revolutionized the game, I think, on hard court, and she's looking like she might become an all-court player like Barty was. And it's still early days, of course, and I think on the grass, there's kind of big question marks there. But on the hard courts, and we know that she's already won a slam at Roland Garros. She goes into the clay as a big favorite, I would imagine. What have been your thoughts on her form recently?
Yeah, I think Iga Swiatek has been absolutely brilliant since Doha. I would say. Yeah, actually, she didn't really play all that well at Indian Wells, I thought, at the start of the tournament. But what she's really shown us over the past few months is that her base level is just so high that she can win even when she's not at her best. And that's not something that you can say about, I think, any player right now in the women's tour. Like most of the players, like at least top ones, they absolutely have to be close to their best to beat the very top players. But Swiatek, has just been so good at doing the basics right. Like just getting a lot of balls back, taking advantage of the short balls. Serve again, not too great, but hitting her spots well. So there's just so much to like about the game. The movement in particular, the defense, the transition from defense to offense. So yeah, it's easy to see why she should win even when she's not at her best, because she's got so many different ways to hurt you, and it's very difficult for the opponent to get the ball past her. And the movement, like the sliding that she does in hard court, I think that's not something that that's very rare. The way she just leans into the ball and can seemingly get to any ball possible just by taking a few steps and then sliding the rest of the way. That's supposed to be possible only on clay, but she does it in hard court as well. Not unlike say Novak Djokovic. So yeah, as in, I think it's been her Miami performance was absolutely amazing. The fact that she won it without dropping a set, beating Osaka in the final. I thought Osaka would was the favorite for the final, but she bageled her in the end. So but yeah, as in a clear favorite for the French Open, I think without a doubt. She can, I think, should be one of the top contenders for the U.S. Open as well. Wimbledon again, the movement may be a bit of an issue right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if, as you said, going over the next few years, she does become an all-court player and just does well in every kind of condition, because she's got the game. She's that solid even when she's not at her best, and when she is at her best, then yeah, watch out, because she can hit winners from anywhere. So. And I think a couple of improvements she's made over the last couple of months. Initially, like earlier, she had a problem against, you could say, like a really big hitter. She if someone would take time away from her, she'd struggle to time the forehand in particular. But I think she's become so much better that she's taking the ball on the rise, even when pitched against a really powerful hitter, like against Osaka, for instance. She'd just take the ball on the rise or off the forehand or the backhand and just redirect the pace. So that's something that she's really improved on, and it's really showing showing in her results. She's beaten, I think, in addition to Osaka, she also beat Sabalenka, and I think so Petra Kvitova, Sakari was, the player that could, I think she'd beaten her all three times that played before 2022. And this year she's gotten the better of her, and at Contebet as well. So all the big hitters, basically, she's solved that problem. And as I said, for the French Open, I think she's definitely the favorite. She might even, win a couple of the other Masters, like 1,000 tournaments as well, like Madrid, Rome. I think she's one of the favorites. Like, I think she's the favorite over there as well. So yeah, I don't know, what's the feeling for Swiatek. She's just 20. She seems to be improving all the time. You never know. She may just be the next dominant player on the tour.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think the big hitter problem was definitely a problem because at the Australian Open, I think we saw it against Collins in the semi-final when she lost, and I would imagine she and her team looked at that and thought, okay, this is clearly an issue, and she'd obviously had issues with it in the past, and would have sat down and said, how can we adjust, right, for those types of players? And she definitely has adjusted straight away, and I think that shows the brilliance of her as well at such a young age and a maturity in knowing to adapt. And I know her idol is Nadal, and not just Nadal but the big three. We know how well they've adapted over the years and adjusted their games, and she definitely has that maturity, I think, to adjust her game, and she continues to do it. So really exciting times for Swiatek fans as well. And she, as you said, she's the favorite for sure. It'll be interesting to see how the clay court swing goes. I'm not really sure. I mean, Badosa and Sakari, of course, coming through nicely for the most part, Badosa especially, and interested to see if they have something to say about it. But you mentioned Sabalenka, and I think it's maybe worth noting how her season's gone. Obviously, again, like Medvedev and some other players, she's kind of had some off-field issues, understandable given the current climate, but she has fallen off a cliff a little bit. I mean, she started the season as number 2, and she made some big strides last year, making her first Grand Slam semi-finals, and everyone thought, okay, look, she's going to come into this year, I guess similar to Zverev, and like she will be a contender, if not win a Slam this year. But so far, it's looked anything but. She's had a lot of early exits at tournaments and just looked very, very inconsistent. We know her serve, and she can serve double faults, but I think that has been exacerbated, I think, this year so far. And also, she just genuinely doesn't seem to be playing with a lot of confidence. What's been your opinion?
Yeah, I'd say Sabalenka is probably the most surprising player this year, in the sense that, I don't think anyone expected this, like the way, even though she did have a bit of a down period towards the end of last year. But I don't know, I kind of expected her to be one of the favorites at the Australian Open, and even during Indian Wells and Miami, I thought she'd do better than what she did. But there's really no reason, it's very difficult to pinpoint why exactly she's struggling. Even the serve, like she's always been the kind of player who would kind of like serve 2 first serves rather than a second serve. And for the most part, she'd make it. She'd make maybe like 5-6 double faults in a match, and that'd be manageable. The way Sharapova would manage it. Like it's the trade-off. Like whether you'd be okay with losing a few points and in exchange win a lot of free points as well, because you're just hitting big second serves. But now she doesn't seem to have any confidence in the shot whatsoever. She's just she's netting a lot of them, rather than just overhitting. So that just screams lack of confidence to me. And I don't really know why it's happening. Maybe the COVID infection does have something to it. I remember she was really down when she got COVID. I think it was just before the World Tour Finals, if I'm not wrong, or just after the US Open sometime. And she seemed really down at that time. She seemed, she was talking about it a lot and saying that it really drained her of energy and stuff. And I think since then she hasn't been the same player. So I don't know how much of an effect that has had on it, on her play. But it's difficult to find an explanation for why she'd be struggling something. I don't think she's going to rebound anytime soon. Maybe it will take her like a couple of months to get back that confidence. Just clay, I think, wouldn't be the ideal surface for her to regain her confidence, because it's just not this kind of surface that's suited to her game. Although she did win Madrid last year, but I think she'd prefer a faster surface. Maybe by Wimbledon she'd be back where she belongs, like top 5. she is still in the top five, but yeah, not playing like a top five player at all, right? So,
Yeah, no, agreed. I think it's going to be a process for sure for her, not quick fix. It'll be interesting. And then I guess lastly on the women's, I want to discuss was Raducanu and Fernandez. So obviously, they're really young, made the US Open final. That really exciting. Final Raducanu coming out on top, and then this year has been pretty disappointing, I think, for both players really. And I think obviously it is a little bit of that. Maybe hangover from playing so well and a lot of attention, sponsorships, media, etc. What's been your assessment of it? I mean, a lot of people have been giving, like, say, for example, Raducanu, a lot of criticism about taking on sponsorship deals and endorsements. I mean, my opinion is that, that's fine, that's understandable. I mean, she wants to take those on. She could get injured tomorrow, right? And she wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But if she has those endorsements, she's got that money coming in. That's, you should take it when you have it. But there's also a feeling that maybe she's become slightly distracted as well, or maybe just not, or maybe it's just a case of actually, she had a fantastic run, but she's very young and she's maturing. What's been your view on that? I guess Fernandez in a similar kind of boat as well. She hasn't really had many good results. Do you think it's a bit of a hangover, and do you think we'll see them resurge at some point this year, or is it going to take them a bit of time after just coming to stardom so early?
so I think so. I'll talk about Fernandez. So I think she is. So I don't think she's been as bad as it seems. She did win a title in Mexico, I think. She's I don't know, she doesn't yet have the game that would help her beat a lot of players easily, in the sense when she's up against a lower ranked player, she doesn't have the kind of power to kind of hit through them right now, at least. So she depends a lot on defense and her just getting a lot of balls back, and that will, I think, result in some early losses, against players who are really hitting big. But at the same time, she has shown the same kind of fight and determination that she showed at the US Open. I think a lot of matches, especially in the final against Camila Osorio, she was really good under pressure. Against Anisimova in the Indian duels, she saved, I think, a couple of match points and then won the tiebreaker. She's still showing that kind of fight, that really sets her apart. I think she's still really young as well. She's 19, and it'll take some time, but I do think she's on the right path. She will eventually, figure out a lot of stuff. Maybe improve her serve a bit. Just try and get more used to playing. At that high level, at that big stage, which is, it all came so suddenly for her. So yeah, I think Fernandez is on the right path. She's just going to get better from here. With Raducanu, I think it's just still too early to say anything, because she's just played so few matches. I don't think she's played more than, say, 20 matches on the WTA tour. It's just, she's so inexperienced that it's like, it's very weird to say that she's a Grand Slam champion, at the same time more inexperienced than practically anyone in the top 200. So that's a very strange combination, and it's just, it's very difficult to make any conclusions based on that. So yeah, she does have the game, definitely. She's got the timing. She's got the, just the effortless power that she mentioned that Lena was her idol, and I think her game actually is very much like Lena's. Just the way she leans into the ball and can hit winners so effortlessly. So definitely that game is there, but we know that this game is not enough. We've seen so many players in the past who've got great game and not been able to solve the the pressures of top level tennis. So I don't know. With Raducanu, I think it's just too early to say anything. When she plays more matches, once she on all surfaces, I don't think she's ever played a clay court match at all. I think on the WTA tour, so that's just so strange, for a Grand Slam champion to never play a clay match. So once she plays more matches and we get to know more about how she's able to handle pressure and expectations, I think then we'll have in a better position to analyze just how good, what kind of future she's got. I think game wise she definitely has all the goods, but in terms of ability to handle pressure, expectations, like just the fight, for instance, the Fernandez that we know, she's a great fighter. She'll make you play your best and make you win the match rather than give you the match. With Raducanu, we don't know. We don't know how she'll play. If she's locked in the third set with a big hitter. She has played a few three setters this year, but I think it's just like a couple where she's not been injured. I think one of them she was injured against at the Australian Open. So yeah, once she gets more matches under her belt, and I don't think the endorsements as such would be a distraction, because the way she talks in the interviews, it doesn't seem like she's let success hit to her head. She's always talking about practicing hard, and she's really humble as well, even despite being so famous at such a young age. So I think that's a good sign. She definitely does seem to have a good head on her shoulders. But now it remains to be seen whether she can handle the pressure. That's, I think, the most important thing for her. So yeah, I think we'd be in much better position to answer this question at the end of this year, when she's actually played an entire season without being injured or missing out in tournaments for whatever reason. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she develops. And I think, if she does develop, like as we expect, or many people expect, I think she'll be a great addition to the top 5 or top 10 for WTA.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, TBC, watch this space, I guess, to Raducanu, for sure. Yeah, as you said, it's such a small sample size, so it's difficult, isn't it, to know, and who knows what she'll be like on clay, for example. And yeah, it'll be intriguing for sure the rest of the year. So I'm sure a lot of people will be keeping tabs on her. Musab, thanks very much for being on. I do appreciate it. Is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up? And also well, I definitely think I'm assuming you want to call out as well your social media links, etc. as well.
Yeah, as in, I just want to talk about Osaka for a bit. I think it's great the way she's rebounded from her Indian Wells disaster, and I think all the play is on the surface. But if you saw her press conference at the end of Miami, I think she's really taking it seriously this time, and I think she does have the game to do well on all surfaces. It's just a matter of confidence. So I wouldn't be surprised if Osaka does reasonably well on the clay season in the clay tournaments, and then goes on to build on that for the rest of the year as well. So I think Osaka is maybe back in the top 10 sooner rather than later. And it's a really exciting time, I think, on the WTA tour, in particular with Swiatek and so many other good players in the mix at the moment. And it was great talking to you on the show. A lot of interesting insights, and and I think if anyone doesn't know about Sportskeeda, it's one of the largest sports websites in Asia, based in India, but we do cover a lot of sports outside India as well. And Sportskeeda Tennis, you'd find it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I wouldn't want to give the links because I think it's pretty easy to find. But yeah, follow us, and any kind of support is always great.
No, amazing. No, thank you. Yeah, I completely agreed as well on the Osaka. Really good to see her back. So, great point there as well. Hopefully, she's in the right mental space going forward, and we see more of that for sure. But yeah, thanks very much again for being on. And yeah, I'll tag Sportskeeda on in this video anyway. I'm assuming I know you guys have a YouTube channel as well, so we'll tag that, and then also I can put your links in the description to the video as well, and tag you on social media for sure. But yeah, thanks again, Musab. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Please remember to like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and do also go check out Sportskeeda. Do the same as well. Follow them on all socials for some great content there. Stay safe and well, and I'll see you on the next video.
Thanks.